Hey everybody, and welcome to another evening of Paint and Chat. I still need to get my chat up, so Aaron, you're in charge of that till I can fix my phone.
You got it.
But once again, we are with the full crew. We got Big Aaron, we got Sean, we got Josh, we have myself, who, unfortunately, for now until all time is considered Little Aaron. I still don't remember how that happened.
Miranda.
But it happened. So yeah, we have to deal with that. We, of course, are hobbying as always, and we encourage you to hobby with us. It is always nice to take a break and get some stuff done. I am still working on my Gene Stealers. I have not made as much progress on them as I would like. I did actually wind up buying some more. I bought specifically the characters, so I'm very close to almost having everything assembled, and if I can get all of this assembled here tonight, that would be great. That would be really, really great. So I'm going to be assembling 1, 2, 3 characters and hopefully the other half of my bike and ATV set. Big Aaron, what are you working on?
Well, for one, it looks like you're stuck on Sean's Green Marine. 2, I am working on a bunker from Tectonic Craft Studios. I won it at the Dragonfall charity auction.
You won so much stuff there.
I did.
Dude, every
Because
time
I'm
you enter
very
something,
giving.
he wins it. I don't know why you don't play the lottery, honestly.
Yeah.
Because this is good karma. I donate money so kids in hospitals get games.
Why did you win it at work?
Just because I'm the best.
Okay, see, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm the best. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. All right.
Josh, what are you up to?
I am painting Taskmaster and Green Goblin, and I'm painting my Taskmaster like Skeletor.
Nice.
Because he appears in episode 37 of Skeletor Unites the Clan. It's
Yes.
some obscure crossover that I don't know about.
100%.
Alluding to nothing talked about before the show started. Sean, what are you working on?
I am finally painting some stuff. I am working on my Dark Angels. I've figured out a whole bunch of really cool, really quick stuff, and I'm just trying to power through dudes now. So
Awesome. Well, I have made a change in my setup because we've been having so many problems with my cameras. I switched one of my cameras for a different brand. I now have an FUS Wulan as the camera that's on my face, and I have just one Logitech, which is on the table, and hopefully we won't have any freezing issues. I also had to completely uninstall and reinstall OBS and rebuild our entire OBS catalog, and that seemed to solve a bunch of issues. So hopefully we'll be issue free tonight. That would be awesome.
That would be really cool.
But I'm definitely going to get started on making some miniatures.
What are you going to build first, Aaron?
I am going to build Clamavus.
Who?
Clamavus. Obviously.
Omnibus.
I thought it was Glamavus, which sounds cooler, but it's definitely a C. So it's Clam of Us.
Clam of Us.
what's he look like, Aaron?
Clam of Us.
He looks like a
Up in front of
dude.
the-
He
Has
has
the guy with the guns?
no. He has a staff. Can you see it?
Oh, he's like their priest.
They're all like their priest.
Well, they
Which
got
one
50
isn't?
million.
Which one isn't their priest? They have a lot of priests. I bet $9.
They have a lot of
priest on an ATV.
Yeah, they have a priest on a bike. The one that Josh pointed out I didn't own. They have a sniper priest.
Oh,
Ja-
shit, you're gonna have to get that.
I did
Sniper priest?
I did get it. I did cut the instructions in half. It would be like me to start this way. Just to start by cutting my instructions in twain.
I
It's
don't
only
understand how that
appropriate.
happens.
Because I forgot that in the blister packs, the instructions are part of the cardboard, okay?
You don't just cut the edge off a blister pack?
No, I eviscerated it, literally. I literally eviscerated it.
Alright.
Aaron, I support your right to choose how to open your box at this duration or not.
See, like, here's the thing. Sometimes I feel like when they sell the individuals, that they break it out into more pieces than are necessary so that you feel like you're actually getting a model.
I 100% agree with that, and I think that's what Marvel.
I was the one that told you that and how I felt that way 3 days ago.
You told me that?
Yes. We were having this conversation just a couple days ago.
I
feel that they could absolutely just basically injection mold a model, but they would lose the whole hobby aspect.
Yeah.
The game.
Oh yeah, the last time we were together, we talked about that extensively.
Was I there?
We were together.
That's why it was on your mind.
Was I there?
I think so.
I think we were all there, and we just don't really remember.
Well, then whatever you said definitely had an impression on me, because now that I'm thinking about it, right? Because now that I have like these 5 bikes to put together, I actually would rather just kind of open, like, I sort of miss the old school days of the solid metal character, right? Like the old blister pack where it was just metal and you didn't have to do any work on it except clean up flashing that was latent with lead. But you didn't have to put it together.
Yeah, I don't know what metal blister packs you worked on, buddy.
The door, like a lot of the metal blister packs was a single character.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I always found it.
And the ones that weren't were like the worst things ever, like the old Zoanthrope and Venomthrope. Like, oh my god, what a nightmare that was. Those were nightmare metal models. The Thunderfire cannon is a nightmare metal model. My Thunderfire cannons are actually 2-part epoxied together. My metal ones.
And it fun to put together?
No, but the funny thing is, I have two metal ones, and I have one. What was that stuff that they came? Fine cast.
Restic, yeah.
Right, and they're all painted identical, and they all sit identical to like next to each other on the stand, and so it's really funny to pick them up and then just have one of them be significantly lighter than the other two, because either you start with the really light one and then you pick up a heavy one, you're like, oh crap, or you pick one up way too hard. But for me, like, I always, like, I know this may sound strange, but the weight of the Thunderfire cannon felt appropriate to the type of damage that it did, and when it came out in plastic, it felt like its rules no longer matched its personality. Does that make sense?
If that was the case, the new monolith would be kicking ass, because
it's heavy.
If anything, it is so heavy.
Really?
It is. It's a lot of plastic.
That's awesome.
It's just all interior plastic.
Really? No, you're right. It is, because there's this big, huge chunk. You can see that in the middle of it. And that's where most of the detail, and I think, price goes.
And weight.
Yes, and weight.
That's funny. All right, I'm not gonna screw up. I'm not gonna get confused. I'm not gonna glue myself to anything. This is just the mantra. The mantra. Dude, I have to say, guys, like, I really do. I need to tell you this while we're live streaming.
All right.
You really need to watch the last 5 episodes of the Clone Wars. Season 7, last 5 episodes. If you haven't seen them, you don't need to watch the whole season. The first half of the season is trash. But the last 5 episodes are so good.
And question though, Aaron.
Yes.
Why did you have to say you're saying this on stream?
Because I wanted to see if I could get some sort of public commitment.
Oh.
To doing it.
Yeah, definitely not on that. No.
But it ties. You don't understand. It ties directly into the Mandalorian, and there's things I want to talk about.
Oh, does it?
Yes. That's the thing. That's what's so interesting about it, is that it is like, it has season 3 of The Mandalorian, which I'm not going to spoil, and the stuff that they talk about in the Clone Wars, they're tying together, and they're clearly drawing off of it for The Mandalorian, which I did not know. Like, I knew some of it, like, because I saw seasons 1 through 6, and so obviously seasons 1 through 6 has Mandalore in it, right? And it has some characters that you see in The Mandalorian, and obviously some general plot stuff that is relevant to the universe, right? Because they're building off the same universe. But I didn't realize that season 7 had stuff that directly is tying into season 3 of Mandalorian. Right. So I'm just saying, if you are currently watching and enjoying Mandalorian, and you have not seen Clone Wars at all, I would just say go watch the last 5 episodes. You don't need to watch anything else. If you have watched all of the Clone Wars except season 7, because it ended in like 2017, and then for some reason they're like, maybe even ended in like 2016, and then they're like, hey, let's come out with another season 3 years later. So if you haven't seen season 7, then I would say you might as well just watch it, because you've already seen the first 6 seasons. But I will tell you this, and I know this is also off tangent. For some reason, the Clone Wars the episodes are not in chronological order.
What?
Which
been.
Which directly came from George Lucas. So there's a website that puts them in chronological order, and the show is 90% better if you watch them in chronological order.
Why would they do that?
Because he was telling vignettes, like he was telling like story arcs that tied together. You know what I mean? But then he would go back, but they wouldn't really explain very well how they were jumping around, and so it just got super confusing. And so I was super confused, and I looked it up online, and I was like, and everything was like, oh yeah, it's not in order. And so I was just like, well, I googled how do you watch it in order, and that's what I did, and it's way better.
Until they put out a new episode that is actually before a whole bunch of
they did not. I was
worried to watch them all over again.
I was worried about that with season 7. I was actually worried about it. Season 7 is totally in chronological order from episode 1 to episode 12, whatever the last one is. But the first 4 episodes are like some character plot resolution filler garbage, and it's just like not. They're little kid up. They're like, I'll watch this one with Adam, and the last 5 get you're like, oh dang, there's some important stuff going on here. I also watched the Lego Christmas special, and I am going to spoil here. Are you guys?
No.
Do you guys care if I spoil the Lego Christmas special?
No.
Finn is officially a Jedi as of the Lego Christmas special. He is officially a Jedi in training. He has Force powers. He is Rey's Padawan.
What?
Wouldn't she need to be a Jedi first?
She is a Jedi.
Since when?
Since she defeated the Sith and kissed the evil guy, and he
I think
died.
that auto makes you a
Yeah.
Jedi.
I didn't read that in the rules.
Well, I believe that it was very clearly stated in the original movies where they're like, you are not a Jedi until you face your father, right? So she faced her baddie, so she's a Jedi, and she's also a Jedi because she went and made her lightsaber. So at the end, remember, she had her yellow lightsaber, which means that the last part of the Jedi training is actually to go and fetch your kyber crystal and then assemble your lightsaber.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so at the end, she buried Luke's and Leia's lightsaber, and then she had her own yellow lightsaber. So she fish Jed, baby, as the children say.
Fish Jed?
Fish Jed.
I'm so confused.
But yeah, so Finn is a Jedi. He has the Force, which I think makes sense from the first movie that he was in, and being able to withstand the brainwashing. but does not make sense with the last 2 movies. Although they did have the scene where he held the lightsaber. You know, when I was a kid, I actually believed that in order to hold a lightsaber, you had to have the Force.
Han does it in the second movie.
I understand. Like, my whole understanding doesn't make any sense because I thought that the way that the lightsaber worked was that they used their Force power to keep the light in containment. You know what I mean? But that doesn't make sense with Luke holding the lightsaber for the first time. Right? Like, you wouldn't just hand somebody, just because they have the Force, without training them, like, hey, by the way, when you turn this thing on, you're going to need to know how to not have it explode.
That probably would be step 1.
Yeah, it probably would be step
The
1.
instruction manual.
Don't point it directly into your face.
Please go through force use plasma containment classes 101 through 105 before
Step
engaging.
1, don't let it explode.
Yeah, before engaging your lightsaber. But I have Star Wars on the mind because we actually have Star Wars news.
What news?
And I'm going to jump into the Star Wars news. So many of you may be familiar with Atomic Mass Games, specifically Marvel Crisis Protocol, because Josh and I talk about it a lot, and we play it. And you also may be familiar with X-Wing, Armada, and Legion. And it was recently announced that Atomic Mass Games is going to be taking over the licensing, manufacturing, selling, and rulemaking for X-Wing, Armada, and Legion, which is, I think, a huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
In the miniature world. So there's been a couple of announcements, but I'm showing the first one here up on the screen, and we can get into sort of the nitty gritty if you want to, but essentially, I think that Atomic Mass Games, if they handle this correctly, could potentially become larger than Games Workshop.
Ooh, that's a bold statement. But
They
they do have now 2 of the largest IPs out there.
have 2 of the largest IPs out there, but more importantly, they have 2 of the largest IP that has brought non-40K, that have brought non-miniature gamers into the miniature gaming hobby. So there's a lot of games that, distract miniature gamers, right? Like Arena Rex, where it's or Warcry or Kill Team. Those games I don't feel like are drawing in a lot of new players. I feel like they're getting us hardcore dedicated players to play a different game. But X-Wing and Legion and Marvel, because of the storylines that they're connected to, are actually bringing new people into the game. And for anybody who's been to an Adepticon or a Nova, 30 to 40% of the main gaming hall at Adepticon is X-Wing, right? And yeah, they have a big wall down the middle of it, so nobody kind of sees each other, but it's a lot of players. You know? It's a lot of players. And so by having Marvel and Star Wars, you know what I mean, under one roof, I think that's a pretty major deal. I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, they have a built-in audience, whereas GW, you need to go to a specialty store to see that kind of stuff. There are a couple one-offs with Walmart carrying or Target carrying their especially little mini games like the Space Marine versus Tyranid things. But everyone who sees those are like, what are those? But if you see one of these things on the shelf, you're like, oh yeah, I know that. People might mistakenly buy them as presents for Christmas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just
they're collectible. Even people who don't play X-Wing have X-Wing models.
Yeah. All right. So I'm not going to eviscerate this. Oh, I can still eviscerate it. I just have to eviscerate it from the back so I don't cut the instructions. Best of both worlds. Cutting things in twain, not ruining your instructions. So it's a really big deal. I'm very surprised by it. I don't think that, I looked for a statement today from Fantasy Flight. I didn't really see anything. I don't know what Fantasy Flight did to piss off holding the IP. Sean played Armada, and I play Armada, and that game kind of died.
It was really fun for like 5 minutes, but it didn't have the staying power, right? I felt like I played the same thing over and over and over.
So a lot of people have been like, oh, well, Fantasy Flight is more of a board game company, and, Atomic Mass Games and Asmodee are more like miniature companies. And I don't know if I buy that explanation personally, but they've consolidated power, and it's all fallen to Atomic Mass, which is pretty freaking crazy.
Well, I think they've probably done so well with Marvel Crisis Protocol that it was natural for Asmodee to try to put them all under one house, especially if one is... I mean, honestly, X-Wing and stuff were not in the best of places after the second edition. Lots of people left. And I think that they're hoping maybe this new transition can be a boost.
But Legion's been doing fine.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I mean, I know a lot. There's a lot of people who play Star Wars Legion, and I'm on the Star Wars Legion boards, and there's plenty of activity and tens of thousands of people on their Facebook pages and people posting all the terrain that they're building every day. Like, there's a lot of people playing Legion.
Okay.
But clearly, for whatever reason, Fantasy Flight was not able to hold on to the IP, so, and there could be a whole lot of business stuff behind that is just not apparent. You know what I mean? Like, it could be terms of services, and it could be bidding. Like, it could have come up for bidding, and Atomic Mass Games could have just been like, well, we'll give you a higher percentage of the royalty. Like, it may not have been lost because of mismanagement. It may have been lost because of, finances and outbidding. So
the Fantasy Flight person took over as head of AMG, right?
No, I didn't know that.
For the guy that was, or the person that was in charge of X-Wing and all that, I think is now head, and the person who was the head is now lead, like, production or something.
At Atomic Mass?
Yes, I believe they structured. And they were both owned by the same company, so it's not like there was any bidding process.
Okay.
That we know of, right?
Well, I mean, there wouldn't be a internal bidding process. What would they bid? They would just be like, we want to take this project over or whatnot. So,
okay. I didn't realize that it was a parent company, daughter company.
Yeah, it's a parent company.
Okay. All right. Well, then hopefully that means the games are going to, like, I really hope that they breathe some life into Armada, because I love Armada. I love the giant fleet battles. Actually, growing up, there was the Star Trek games.
Yeah,
and
the miniatures.
Yeah, and they had the whole like range of you could play ship to ship, you could play small fleet, you could play large fleet. And there was a guy at our gaming store whose like entire basement was essentially the entire universe, and they would play the fleet battles, and then they would take the like squad battles and they would fight the actual squads, and then they would take the squads from the ships and fight the actual ships, and they had like this massive multi-year long campaign where they were taking it from the largest scale all the way down to the smallest scale. I'm not saying I want to do that. I'm just saying I always thought that was really cool. And I really, really like flying around Star Destroyers, right, Sean? Like Star Destroyers are super fun, and so is having a giant squad of X-Wing. So
bombers, baby.
I hope they sort of breathe some life into that. But at the same time, they've also been putting a lot of work into Marvel Crisis Protocol. If you want to talk about that, Josh.
Yeah, they just released. There's a couple of things that's kind of going on. So, one of the things that I'd be excited about is if they actually brought a Star Wars version of Crisis Protocol, because there is no skirmish version of Star Wars since they stopped Imperial Assault.
Yes.
So they could easily do that, which would be awesome.
Right, and then I would never buy another Crisis Protocol model again.
Well, no, you just buy the Star Wars ones.
Right. Exactly.
The other one is that they just released the next wave, which will be Q2 for Crisis Protocol, and so you've got Domino with Cable, who looks really cool. He's got like a really neat shield effect. You've got Deadpool with his chimichanga truck, and
That one is pretty cool looking.
yeah, and Bob, Agent of Shield, not Agent of Shield, Agent of Hydra, which is in the same box. Funny enough, there's a lot of people complaining that they put a terrain piece into the box set with Deadpool.
They're complaining about it? Why?
Lots of people were complaining. It was like ridiculous. They're like, "Oh, you're making me pay some money for a terrain piece." It was just, I don't know. It just boggled my mind. It was like, really? There's like one person on there that was like going off on every single post, and it was like, whoa. And then a lot of people.
Sorry about that, internet.
Yeah, and then the other thing was he actually comes with 4 different heads. And in the video, the release video, it shows them using the multiple heads. They're all like goofy lookings. Like there's some that are like the normal cool looking Deadpool, and then there's like ones all the way where he has like hearts for eyes. And then they did all this weird stuff. And then there's also different poses for his legs. And there's a missile that he is modeled to be flying off on, and then there's like not Marvel, but comic book type writing, and you could put a big whoosh on top of that rocket with him, so it like makes this thing, because he breaks that third wall, the fourth wall, whatever wall it is.
Fourth.
But a lot of people were complaining about that. They're like, I want the cool one, I don't want a goofy one. And he's like, the one where he's on the rocket, he has one leg that's kind of bent up, or you can have like one that's almost like in a ballerina type pose, like him dancing on the rocket. And he actually makes fun of, in the release video, he makes fun of people standing on a rock, calling them tactical rocks. And it's like a meta joke, because everybody has been complaining about Marvel Crisis Protocol figures having one leg on a rock, like pushing off, and calling them tactical rocks, and they brought that into the video, and they've really worked on getting rid of those tactical rocks.
How about them tactical curbs?
Tactical curbs. That's where I was going, baby.
Tactical curbs are still in stock.
Still a thing. Okay.
And then they have 2 other boxes. They have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and the Scarlet Witch just looks amazing.
Why are these pictures not on their main site? It's still X-Men.
That's because they just have a leak video, like a release video. But, handily enough, I actually linked them all into our chat so they'd be easily accessible for us.
I'm just playing the video now, silently.
Okay.
So, there you go.
And then there's one more set of people, but I can't remember who it is.
Previously, X-Men, okay, and now for something completely different. Yep, there's Cable. It's a red girl, and it looks like an old Flash type guy.
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. There we go.
Old Flash.
It's a blue Flash. There's too many superheroes.
Oh my gosh.
There's just too many.
As you paint your like 10,000 40K model.
I know, right? I'm doing 5 different. Oh no, I forgot his hood. I forgot your hood.
Oh, they said something really funny on the
Oh no.
the community, the Warhammer community website for the Meta Watch, right? They went through and analyzed the tournaments that have gone on, what armies were played, and they were like, oh, well, 53% of the players used, Space Marines or whatever, and, that's actually lower than the overall, amount of Space Marines to the Xenos and everybody else. So clearly, there's enough room for some more lieutenants.
Oh, it's funny because I have the MetaWatch article queued up. I will bring the MetaWatch article up as soon as.
I appreciated the humor.
I do like the Deadpool on the rocket, I have to say.
It's cool. There's multiple legs, multiple heads. It looks like you can actually magnetize them and switch them back and forth, which is cool.
So heading over to MetaWatch. Data Gods of War. So here's what Sean is talking about. They've released a new set of pie charts.
They're very circular.
They're very,
or I guess I should point at this camera.
They're very circular. So Imperium 54.8%, Chaos 18.1, Xenos 27.1. That's percentage of shared versus armies played. But then I guess they just break it down by what people are playing. They're not necessarily breaking it down by what people are winning with.
Yeah.
That is my understanding.
Total available versus total played. Interesting. Win percentage. Here we go. Okay, so they explain what win percentage is. All right, here we go. Top TWIP, TIWP, TWIP, top TWIP ratios.
How does that mean?
Win, top, it's the win percentage. Salamanders 2.6, Harlequins 2.3, Chaos Demons 2.4, Sisters 1.8, Orcs 1.6, and then Tier 2 AdMech at 1.6 with Space Wolves at the bottom at 1.16.
TWIP has something to do. I'm no 40K expert, but it's something to do with like the assumption that in a 5-round tournament, the first 3 rounds with that sort of list, you would go 3-0.
4-0.
4-0.
All things being equal, the frequency of a faction achieving a 4-0 record, a TWIP, should be the same as its share of the field. Therefore, we can simplify the relative performance of factions by creating a ratio. A perfectly balanced TWIP ratio would equal 1, and anything above indicates overperformance. So they're saying that Space Wolves to Salamanders are overperforming, and Salamanders are overperforming by 2.6 times.
Nice.
Great TWIP. Check out that TWIP, boys.
Can't handle this TWIP.
Are they going to shut us down because of this TWIP?
Won't stop the TWIP.
But apparently, from a win percentage ratio, Ynnari has the highest win percentage, even though its TWIP is 0. Which is weird.
So no one's playing it, is what you're saying.
No, it was fielded 0.17% of the time, and it had a 62% win ratio. Whereas Harlequins were fielded 6% of the time and had a 60% win ratio. And
like Harlequins are pretty badass.
And Salamanders were fielded 4% of the time and had a win ratio of 59.28%, which somehow gives them a ratio higher than Harlequins, which doesn't... I guess I'd have to math that one out. But with the exception of Death Watch, almost everything is hovering within 5 to 10% of a 50-50 win ratio. For some reason, Death Watch is at 20%. So I want to know who that Death Watch player was. What happened?
Death Watch right before they got their codex.
What happened, sir? What happened? So yeah, like, here's the bigger question, though. What do you think about Games Workshop putting so much emphasis on meta?
I don't like it one bit.
Yeah.
You don't like it one bit.
Nope.
Pourquoi?
I think that it's very important to analyze the data to be able to make adjustments to the game, right, in the effort of balancing. But I don't know, man. I am not a fan of the competitive scene in any way, shape, or form anymore. Like, I just, it doesn't do it for me, right? I want epic battles with hundreds of little plastic miniatures, giant war machines. I want to play on super awesome custom built dope ass terrain. I don't want to go and have someone set up five buildings in the same
So what you're saying
arrangements.
is that you really don't care because you just don't play competitive at all.
Yeah,
But
I'm done with it. Yeah, I
think
used
to
to.
answer Aaron's question, I like it because it shows that they're analyzing the scene right now and what's really going on, so that they might be able to be less knee-jerk reactive or sweeping reactive, and maybe do smaller changes, and try and keep things more balanced. The fact that they're looking at like the whole T-whip thing, which came out of the community a couple years back, some math genius in the community started doing lots of stats and came up with that, and now GW is looking at that.
But I
and trying
think
to keep a balanced game.
I think it also has to do with like gatekeeping of information, which is really important, because if you have these backroom mathematicians who are coming out and math hammering, right, the best armies, and then just these crazy players are coming through and having my favorite Dark Demaricus says my favorite superhero is my own reflection. Oh.
Ooh,
Aw.
well played.
Oh.
Well played.
And my dad says hi. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
So I think that like democratizing that information is really good, and I think it will by nature cause more fairness because people will have access to knowing what they should be playing, but it also might cause massive uniformity, which I don't like.
I have a question for Sean. Do you think 40K is leaving you behind?
No, I do not. And
Sounds
the
like
reason
Mikey
for
in
that,
this article. Sorry.
I mean, do you want like a real thought out answer for it?
Yeah.
So at this point in my life, right, you guys in the stream with me from Cool Guys Nation, all the cool guys know that I used to TO play tournaments every weekend, go to big events like Adepticon, that type of stuff, and really never like smashed everybody's faces, but placed very well in a lot of them. I think the best I ever did was second out of like 40 people. So it is what it is. I played competitively for like 6 years or something like that. And I don't care anymore. It's turned into this very much dungeon, almost like a role-playing game that facilitates the combat through dice and miniatures and all those fun things, right? So I want to have as much fun in the coolest environment possible, right? I don't want to go play someone who's got a Necron Lord and 60 destroyers, and that's their army, because that's the best thing that they can put together, right? That's not my idea of fun.
But you don't think that. But to more of Aaron's question, like I understand you don't want to play that, but are you worried that if and when we start going back to game stores, that you're gonna find your narrative play, apocalypse play community doesn't exist anymore?
I get you. Okay, yeah, let me refocus, right? Because that was kind of sidebar stuff. I don't think so. The first reason is because of the Crusade rules, right? So they've built a narrative piece into this that has rules. And again, I take the very first line out of like the 5th edition codex, or the 5th edition rule book is like the most important thing. I don't know if they still put it in the book, but it's like, this is a game. These are the guidelines. Do whatever the fuck you want to have super fun, right? So that's what we do. If there is, because I play in a very small bubble, I am very selective about the people that I play with for interpersonal reasons. There's a lot of shitbags out in the world, and I don't want to have anything to do with a shitbag for 3.5 years or 3.5 hours. So,
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting stuck in a really long, complicated, tedious game that has stakes
with a horrible person.
With a horrible person.
Yeah.
Or imagine having it happen twice in back-to-back Adepticons.
Or you go to a grand tournament, you're playing 5 games over 2 days, and you just happen to draw the shitty short stick, and you've got a shitty person every time. You just spent your entire weekend with a douchebag that you would like literally walk away from if you could, and it wasn't going to just like lose you the tournament, right? So unfortunately, I think Games Workshop is putting a lot of emphasis on that. Hey, come start this game. You can play with 500 points. You can play competitively. You know, it's all about that. And I have a much more, you know, battle brother kind of thing, like where I form a friendship and I play games with that person. They're persistent. We have characters that we each know, and it just is what it is. But
and because of that, you can't be left behind. You just modify the rules.
Yeah, it's not possible to leave me behind, right? Because at any point in time, I can make an agreement with another person that I'm playing with, because we are playing together for the same reasons, because we want to have fun. We want to see our little soldiers do awesome stuff. And Games Workshop just makes the dudes and the rules that allow us to have some semblance of order to that interaction, right? So I don't think it's possible to leave me behind.
Do you think 9th edition is the best edition so far?
I would love to answer that, but I can't because of COVID. I have not played enough real games. I've played a little bit by against myself and all that fun stuff. I haven't played enough to really know.
What about what's your favorite system so far?
I think liked 6th. I liked a lot of the weird stuff. I miss the armor penetration on vehicles. I miss being able to attach characters to units. There was a lot of really neat stuff, which I understand why it went away. And then right after 6th, I would say, 8th, or maybe even like 7th and then 8th, right? Because 7th was basically just like a tweak to 6th. It wasn't really a new edition, in all honesty.
Yeah. Which editions?
I liked 8th. I liked 8th a lot, and I feel like 9th has a lot of potential, but I'm feeling really, really overwhelmed with how many places there are rules.
Yeah.
And that is making me more hesitant, right? It's pushing me away from being hyper competitive, which is just kind of my nature, and more towards wanting to be like Sean. And I can tell you that 100% in the army that I'm building right now in my Gene Sealers, which is like, I just had to decide whether this guy had a knife or a sniper rifle, and I didn't look up the rules to find out which one is better. I picked the sniper rifle because it looks cooler, right? Like, and I don't even want to go try to figure out which one is better. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that you struck on a very important point for me as well, Aaron. I build stuff the way that I think my guys are going to play. I play my soldiers the way that I think that they, their character in an RPG would perform. So that means we do a whole lot of suicide charges, because when we're outnumbered, we're not giving up. We are the fucking angels of death. Like, we are super awesome. And that means that if I want a guy with a plasma cannon, even though plasma cannon is not the most optimal loadout, because I play Dark Angels and everybody, we love plasma. It's our thing. That's all there is to it, right? So you see a lot of people who are buying up melta-guns and multi-meltas and combi meltas. They're some of the most valuable items right now, because that extra damage at close range, you throw them in a drop pod. There's a million ways to get them there. But that's not really how my guys roll. That's not the flavor of my army. I actually did a whole bunch of work on the fluff and all that fun stuff. So I have this giant narrative that rolls back into the Dark Angels at large. And that's the thing that I care about, right? I care about that story. I care about the heroic deeds of my guys. and Games Workshop has now built this Crusade thing that allows me to do certain stuff with them. I'm always happy to go back and modify a guy, put a new decal on him, those type of things. But even if they didn't have that, it would still be my perspective. I would still do those things for myself in a non-written capacity, in a non-official capacity. So,
What about you, Aaron?
I'm more of a hobby hero, so I too have always made things that look cool, but I also at the same time make sure that I have stuff that is the good stuff in the range that I am painting, building, and modeling. So, and I play so little. I really don't like how many places there are rules already within 9th edition. It makes me nervous too, because I don't know anyone that wants to take 13 books to the table.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's like if there's any individual army, you don't need 13 books. But part of the competitive scene is not just knowing your army; it's knowing the other people's armies, and it's knowing the other people's armies not necessarily so that you can just so you know their gotcha moments, although that's really important, but also because the game is so complicated that people make mistakes, and you need to be able to help catch their mistakes. And it's not like I remember one time we were in the team tournament. I don't know if this was the year that Sean was with us. We were playing Mechanicum, and we scored like 47 hits on this Mechanicus guy, and then the dude across from us just started rolling dice. Do you remember that, Sean? He was rolling dice silently, and he then he picked up all his dice and he re-rolled them like 6 more times, and then he re-rolled them a bunch more times, and he was like, "Oh, you had 40 wounds, 2 went through." And we both said, "Wait a minute. You've just been sitting there rolling dice silently. Like, what are you talking about?" Right? And he literally had, and we were literally like, "No, you need to explain everything that just happened, and you need to explain every roll that just happened, and you don't just get to sit there quietly and then tell us that you somehow shook off 40 wounds." Right?
yeah, and that's
on a
the
5
gentleman's
up.
agreement.
Right, and he literally had a binder, and then we had to go through a binder, like, of all this stuff, and then we had to call a TO, and then we had to have him re-roll everything, because we were like, actually, you don't get to re-roll some of those, and they need to be split into different categories, and then we wound up nuking his guy, and he got really upset, and he was upset that we made him re-roll the entire thing.
Aww.
And that, to me,
I feel like we just had this conversation.
it seems
the other
worse
day.
now.
I feel like we just had this conversation the other day, and I was the bad guy when I brought it up.
Josh, you're always the bad guy.
No. That's a subtly different conversation.
How is it subtly different?
I don't know. Aaron has to explain that.
No, I was just upset that like there was something that came out 10 seconds ago, and Josh was like, "It's trash. This is horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Why are you defending them?" And just started making all these accusations. I was just saying that, hey, I too don't like the fact that like before my codex comes out, there's going to be other rules for Death Guard. Just like, let's see, in the Vigilist book, there are rules for Death Guard. By no means were they required. They gave you the Purge, which gave you something cool, but whatever. I mean, that's like the fact that they're putting story and they're tying games and narratives to the story, and they're putting out rules with those stories, I think is all kind of cool.
So just so I'm on the right page, are we talking about Warzone Caradron, the Book of Rust?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have that up in the preview, and this is a narrative book that also contains rules for Death Guard, Adeptus Mechanis, Imperial Knights, and Drakiri.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's
I like
the latest
Vigilus book.
Battlezone book. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same thing as Vigilus or the Destruction of Baal or anything else they put out over the past 3 or 4 editions, I think.
I get what you're saying. You're saying that it's cool. You like the campaign stuff, and then it's got some extra bonus rules. That's cool if you're coming from that point of view. I am not that point of view. I am not a fluffy player. I need to buy this for...
Josh is the guy with 90 destroyers in a single lord.
Exactly, and that just annoys the garbage out of me more than
Josh,
anything else. Because
How many 9th ed books have you bought so far?
What?
How many ninth ed books have you bought so far?
0.
I think everybody should count that up.
So
Yeah,
what does it matter if there's another one out? By the time you actually sit down and play your first game of ninth ed, there'll be like 10 other books that come out, and you just
I got 4.
learn the one that you're playing.
4 books.
Because by the time we get to play, I might need to grab like 6 or 7 books.
I mean, I see both points of view, and I agree with both points of view. On the one hand, I really like, you know, it's cool to have extra stuff that comes out with narratives and incentives that have extra rules in it. But on the other hand, it's really super annoying to have just this endless stream of different places that you have to find the rules.
You know what
And-
they should do?
They
So
should
real
have
fast,
made-
Aaron. I'm gonna interrupt everybody, but they have a solution for that.
Yeah? What's that?
Costs $6 a month, and that is the Warhammer application.
Is it?
And at the,
Is
and
it-
you- I'm going right where you're about to ask. And if it worked the way that it is intended to work, there'd be no problem with this, right? You would go, you would build your army roster, you'd have live links to all the rules for all the stuff. End of story. It would be much more difficult to reference things about your opponent's army and the core rules, because you still got to have those books. But if you could get down to just carrying the core rule book with you and having all the rest of the stuff on your phone through this app, I think that, you know, it alleviates a lot of those concerns. But to Aaron's point, shit don't work yet. So
Yeah. And then the other question is, even if it did work,
would it really do what we need it to do? Not what
what
we
do
said it
you
does.
really hey, what's up, Starhawk and Sean Blake? Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Do you think that it's going is it going to carry the extra rules from Crusade? Like if you have the app open, you're paying your $6 a month or whatever it is, do you also have to pay $30 for the digital Crusade book in order to have those rules populate into the app? Because why would they not want to sell that book but give you access to the rules that are inside of it? Right, like I know why they should, but I don't know why they would. You know
No,
what I mean?
I understand and I agree with you. And if that is what is needed for me to digitally keep track of all these weird things and be able to go into my army and say, you know, army number 1, my captain got killed last time and now he's got his eyes shot out, you know, and go click a button and add the thing to him so that every time I pull up that roster in the Warhammer app,
that would
he's
be
got
really
stuff
fun.
yeah, exactly. It'd be fucking awesome, right? But we have no idea what it actually does because it's not released yet, right? So you can't even, you know, write a bug report or send an email to them and say, hey, I want this thing. So I'm really hoping that because it's going to be released just a little bit before Cyberpunk, you know,
I think they're on the same day now, actually.
they're probably made by the same fucking developer.
Dude,
But you know, I think there's a chance to get past a lot of that negative garbage and the issues with the books.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope I'm right too.
But there's a lot more on the preview page. And I think, Aaron, you took a deeper... You actually watched the preview. So,
Nope. Sure didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope.
Okay.
I slept in.
Wow. That's
Nice.
unbelievable. So, they got the Warzone book, the Book of Rust. There's a video for that. And then they got some really pretty models. And the name of the model that I wanted to look at just escaped me. It's the Necromunda stuff. Here they are. These guys. They're
Van
dudes.
Sar,
I'm sorry?
the Van Sar guys on the skip.
Yes, the House Van Sar. Oh my god, they're so cool.
They are pretty.
As some
badass.
Necron players are talking about grabbing that
Oh.
and just using the skiffs to make Tomb Blades.
Dude. And it looks like it has this clear resin shield that comes with like one of the chicks.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
my-
how their old box set came too. So that is something that's in their other sets too.
These look so cool.
You know,
Yeah,
don't
and-
like them, to be honest.
You don't like them?
No.
Too elf-like? Too elf-like?
Yeah. I just don't. Also, the thing that they're flying on, I think it looks kind of dumb.
Oh, I love it.
I got a Green Goblin kind of vibe off of it.
Yeah.
Surprised. I was actually surprised to see there's some new stuff for Middle Earth. That's kind of cool. Along with an Ent, they have a proper Ent.
Yeah,
which
the Ent looks really cool. Actually.
Which I kind of want to replace one of my Sylvaneth lords with the Ent. Like, that would be fun.
Well, just remember, if you do that, you can't use it in tournaments.
Ooh, brutal.
Oh no.
It becomes illegal.
What if I put like a paper bag over it so that they can't see its
Sorry.
face?
Oh, sorry. My mini's a butterface.
Yeah.
Just trust me, it's there.
It's the right mini. It's a little paper bag. Look, you can see its feet. Its feet look like a tree. Obviously, it's the correct model. Well,
in Rust, though, you kind of skip the story. Is Adeptus Mechanicus is going to a planet and where Death Guard are.
I skipped story? Oh goodness.
Oh my goodness. So I was just saying, could open the potential, and the planet. Oh my god. Can you take a guess at what the name of the planet is?
Rodigus Prime.
Metallica.
Metallica?
Yeah.
That's a Forge
Wow.
world that's pretty common, actually. I believe.
So it's on. It's on Metallica, and I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe some Dark Mechanicum.
Oh.
This would be pretty cool.
Dark Mechanicum would be cool.
You have an entire Dark Mechanicum army.
I do. Is it a 30k army?
It is.
Oh. I mean, those were always intended as proxies for my regular Mechanicum.
Oh.
You
Dun,
think that I buy things. You really don't understand how I buy things, do you?
No.
Yeah. I know it's completely bizarre to you, but I buy things based off of how cool I think they look.
Yes.
And
then you fit them in.
And then you exactly
as you can.
And then you fit them in exactly.
All right, let's see if I got some sort of brass. Do I want to go ancient bronze or coppery orange for grenade shells on the harness of Homeboy? Because now we're doing all the details and stuff.
Just brains.
Grenade shells.
Yeah, so he's got a bandolier down at the bottom, right? And the actual explosives are already gunmetal because that's what they are. But the backside, I need to put something on. So it's like a bronze or a brass. I can do a silver again, but I don't want to.
Starhawk says Cyberpunk was never in development. It's a conspiracy.
Oh, shit.
He also says that looks like some tech heresy. So that's the Warhammer preview and the Meta Watch. They got the Space Marine Gladiator model focus.
What is that?
So like they every couple of weeks they dive into a particular model, I guess. This one is a comparison of all the different variants for the different tanks, essentially, on the Space Marines.
Okay.
And they just kind of give you different pictures of all the different loadouts and pretty different colors that you can paint them and why you need to own 9 of them, obviously. Although it does look good in red, I have to be honest. It does really look good in red.
Blood Angels tanks have always been really cool. I'm hoping that in their new codex they're going to get their engines back, because we used to have back in 5th edition I ran a freaking
their engines were taken
yeah,
away.
They were.
Okay.
They have some specialist stuff with their Mechanicum friends to manufacture the engines for their vehicles at a better quality than every other Legion.
See, it's funny. So like, there's a steakhouse in Chicago called Gibson's. It's a super famous steakhouse. I think there might be one in like Chicago and one in like Vegas. I think there's more than one Gibson's, but anyways, the original one's in downtown Chicago, and they have a deal with the who's the people that certify meat?
USDA.
The USDA. They have their own special prime, like USDA stamp. It's like a Gibson stamp. So it's very much like the Blood Angels motor. They have their own special deal.
They do, and that's not a bad thing, because yes, you could do a lot with them. They were very flexible. They kicked ass. Yada yada yada. I hope they get them back.
Do they still have the rule where you can drop their Land Raiders from orbit?
That was a long time ago, and that was Deathwing.
No. That was definitely Blood Angels, because that you can drop your Land Raiders in from orbit, and they had Deep Strike. 100% Blood Angels.
Sounds legit.
Well, now anyone can do.
Well, it was a thing that happened.
I feel like, in all fairness, in a intergalactic spacefaring society shuttling from planet to planet, by all rights, everything that they have should be deployable from orbit. Like there is not a single unit, unless it literally needs to be built on the ground, that is not being deployed from their giant motherships. Right? Like, because who's going over to planet to wage intergalactic planetary war, and they're like, okay, the first thing we need to do is take over a tank factory so that we can build our tanks, and then we continue conquering.
They packed lightly. What can you say?
So I get your point, Aaron, and I agree. But I think what's missing is that those deployments are going to be done as safely as possible, which means not onto a live battlefield.
But I'm just saying that if you have orbiting spaceships, right? Like think about it like aircraft carriers, right? And the naval fleet. It may not be a wise decision to launch your hovercrafts at the Normandy beach, but you can, right? Like, you have that capability to launch something from the ocean to the land at any given point in time. It may not be wise, but you're capable of it. So I feel like giant orbiting spaceships, and this is probably true for Tau, it's probably true for everybody, would have that ability. Cool guys. Hey, Peter North here. Okay. Cool. I have a 1953 World War II U.S. Corsair model still in box. Purchased at yard sale years ago. Maybe by Mr. Roy Models. That's very cool. Wait, hold on. I skipped the most important part of the sentence.
You did.
No way.
You're an old adult film star. Well, fantastic.
The one and only Peter North.
Very cool.
Welcome to our channel.
Peter, I'm very impressed with your work. I'm sad to hear that you are no longer acting.
He didn't say that he was no longer acting. He could
If you
clarify.
are,
I'm glad you're still acting.
So, someone, a tiny human in my household,
You got those two.
broke the Power Axe off of my dude, and I can't find it, and now I have no choice, because I don't want him to have the pickaxe, because I don't want him to have it. So now I have no choice but to change his arm to the auto gun. So I'm going to do some modification here. Sorry. Now you have your whole arm chopped off. It's okay, I have a replacement for you. Upgraded from axe to gun.
Yeah.
All right, what other topics do we have to talk about? We have a fancy picture of what Big Aaron is working on. So I just put that on. I just put that up. How is your terrain coming?
Good. I'll probably be finished tonight, I would imagine. It is a well put together piece of terrain. It is from Tectonic Craft Studio. Their MDF is well built and has some nice little features, but I probably would not buy MDF from them because they are by far the most expensive MDF company I've ever seen. Like
Really?
this bunker is normally over $20, maybe 30. And it's nice. Like the top comes off. Well, it does normally, but there we go. Glue stuck or paint stuck. And it's cool. It's good. I had to do a lot, to kind of spruce it up and make it actually look cool and not completely like MDF. But yeah, it was kind of pricey, and it took like 3-4 weeks for it to show up. But it's fun. I need to take a break from the Necrons. Figured might as well put it together all last night, and sprayed it up today, and now just doing the little extra bits, putting the washes on and dry brushing and all that goodness.
Good looking honky. Let's keep it rated G. Well, I approved your comment, so everybody gets to read that. He says that's a German bunker. It does seem to be very German bunkery.
Well, except for the fact that it has like steel, like pressure sliding doors and like all sorts of metal sci-fi bits.
Yes.
But it does look like not a pillbox. Pillbox is just like the front, right? And it was mostly concrete.
The only pillbox, whenever I hear the word pillbox, the only thing I think of is Command and Conquer Red Alert. When the little pillbox pops up and it's a little hexagon, right, Sean? It's a hexagon in that game. That's what I know as a pillbox, is a tiny little hexagon that is the most worthless thing to pay for.
Huh.
I mean, unless there's like lots and lots of infantry that aren't going to have tanks, but that's never. So yeah, worthless.
Like I said, the most worthless thing that you could possibly use. 28. I need number 28. This is going much smoother the second time around because I'm remembering I'm remembering the places where the instructions were inaccurate.
Where they were cut in half?
Yes.
That's why they were inaccurate.
That's why they were inaccurate, obviously. Because I cut them in twain. Red Alert is the best RTS of all time. I also have so much nostalgia for that game. Starhawk, if you have so much nostalgia for that game, I hope what I'm about to tell you will make you very happy. They have remastered and re-released both Command and Conquer Original and Command and Conquer Red Alert so that it has more modern day graphics or the old graphics, and you can download them both for only like $20 on Steam. And they even went back to the original band and had them re-record all of the music for Red Alert so that they could have the hi-fi sound quality, as well as went to the archival footage of all the green screen stuff and re-edited all of the storyline between them so that you have this like very modern feeling version of Red Alert.
Wow. They went all out.
They did. It came out in like March or April. I played all the way through it. I will say that Command and Conquer Original is still very clunky and not very much fun. And Red Alert was an absolute treat to play again. So you should definitely check out Red Alert Remastered on Steam if you were big into it back in the day.
Neato.
Next up, this one's for Josh. We have a painting tutorial coming out, which is going to be the first of many of our Marvel Crisis Protocol quick and dirty painting series, where Josh is going to be taking us how to paint a model in less than an hour using mostly contrast paint, including the basing. And the first episode that's coming out is Kingpin. It's edited. It's ready to go. Will probably be released sometime next week. So, Did you want to say anything about that, Josh?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I've got like you said, I think we've got 4 in the pipeline. I'm working on some more. We've got a basic tutorial that's in the Kingpin video itself, but I'll probably be doing a separate video just so people can
you're talking about for basing.
For basing, yeah.
Yeah, so the Kingpin video, the first one we're putting out, includes the basing. I assume that the other ones do not have the basing on it.
That's correct.
So Josh has a very unique approach to list building, and he has a very unique approach to painting. And I would say they are both defined by efficiency and excellence. So I think when you see the results but look at the methods, that you're going to be very satisfied with these painting tutorials. And I'm hoping to set up, at least for the next couple months, sort of like a Marvel Mondays, where we either have some sort of content coming out about Marvel Crisis Protocol on Mondays, because they both start with the letter M, and Marvel Mondays sounds fun. So tomorrow will be our first Marvel Monday. We have also been playing some games on Tabletop Simulator. I'm still working on editing those and figuring out how to film them to make sure that they're fun, and remembering that I shouldn't do them all in a pretend Russian accent, even though I did one in entirely a pretend Russian accent.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Maybe that one will go just up for our Discord listeners. Maybe that'll just be a Patreon exclusive. Aaron does a battle report entirely in a 1980s Russian villain accent. But we are going to be trying to do some Marvel Mondays. So at least for I don't know, a month or two. Let's say through the holidays. We'll see how it goes.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool, man. So, but as a shout out to Josh, and also a PSA about these videos. Josh, again, painting excellence, quick, all that fun stuff. I struggle with all sorts of parts of painting. So what I did was, I'm always asking this guy, and he's like, do this and do that. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that because it sounds stupid, right? But I know it works for him. So I've been trying to take these ideas that Josh has about making stuff dirty. How do you do it the fastest? What's this? What's that? And I have finally gotten to a place where, like, these Space Marines are fun to paint. I'm making excellent progress. They're almost done. And I contribute a ton of that to the simple Josh being like, dirty that guy up, right? Because now that I'm not trying to do something like the edge highlights in the book and, make them look like classic Space Marine type of things, I guess I could turn my camera a little bit so you can see.
By the way, there is a picture of Josh's Kingpin, which does not look like it took 40 minutes to paint, but it did. And here is a picture of... Oops, that's the wrong page. Here is a picture of Sean's Space Marine whip. You were not aware of the... God dang, I was aware of that. I recently bought the Westward collection. It includes Renegade, Red Alert, Red Alert 2, Red Alert 3, but I was not aware of the remastered. That is awesome. The remastered is really awesome because you can toggle back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics. And Tanya still kicks everyone's ass. Sorry, Sean. Continue.
No, it's all good. But I mean, I think the point is that, what do you want out of your hobbies, right? And I guess I was kind of like had been tricking or fooling myself and like, oh, I can figure out some way to get the same thing that I see in the Warhammer 40K books out of my miniatures, right? And that's just kind of like driving me fucking crazy, or more accurately, making me not want to paint.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'm just like haphazardly putting wash all over places. There's layers of sponging and dry brushing. There's nothing that I have to be. There's literally nothing on these models that I have to be really detailed or really slow in the application because they're not supposed to look like they just came out of the fucking livery.
I mean,
right? Like these dudes are.
It's not
battle-hardened veterans.
It's definitely not the first painting tutorial that Josh has put out, right? And the style of painting is not for everybody. Like
No.
one of my favorite armies he ever painted is his Death Guard army, which we call the Butter Army because it looks like rotting butter. And some people look at that and they're like, "Oh, this painting tutorial is the most fantastic base coat that I've ever seen." Right?
Mm-hmm.
And their comments are literally like, "Oh, I started out with this and then I went back through and I did all this detail work." Where Josh's whole point is like, "Yeah, you don't need to go back through and do all that detail work." But
You can.
you can. You absolutely can. But and I'm just going to really quickly, I'm going to go back to the final picture of Kingpin. I mean, that's a done model. You know what I mean? And not only is it a done model, like
Absolutely.
it looks freaking amazing. You know what I mean? And once you sort of realize like, oh, you can get to this level of look without spending, but with a 1 hour painting session, like, and it's not a 1 hour painting session because Josh is really good at painting edge highlights, right? That's not why it's a 1 hour painting session. It's not
You'll never
because
see me painting edge highlights.
it's not because he can. It's not like where you watch Duncan, right? And Duncan's like, here's this really easy way to do this grimdark model, and then in the course of 5 minutes, he perfectly edge highlights every single armor plate on a Space Marine, and you're like, oh yeah, of course. Like,
Thanks, Duncan.
Like, it's not that type of painting tutorial. that there's like this high level of skill involved. There is a high level of accept the results involved.
Yes.
Bingo. That's one of the big things that I got from Josh, man. Like, because again, as soon as I was like, oh, I don't give a fuck what the green looks like. These guys are, not coming out of the livery. Like, I'm hoping that it's focus. Woo, I don't know. But, like, he is not perfect. But then again, he looks way better than if he was perfect. Right? Because, like, the Grimdark. We're in the fucking Grimdark. We're killing aliens left and right. So I'm super pleased. I'm really happy with the new paint job. I'm really happy with the speed that it happens. And I give Josh a lot of credit. So the whole point of all those words I said, watch Josh's painting tutorials.
And to be clear, I'm just showing how to put color on a model and make it look solid. It's going to be a basic model, but you can be proud of what you did and you'll have fun doing it because you're not worried about being perfect. Because I don't think being perfect is everybody's bag. I like getting stuff on the table. I like having stuff on my wall. Stuff looks good with an easy, fast paint job. I didn't take 3 days to paint the model.
And when he goes to the game store, I can tell you that people are still absolutely impressed with the models that they put on the table. And a lot of times his models look better than the models that people did spend too much time on doing the wrong thing. And that, I think, is the bigger point. If you spend a huge amount of time doing the wrong thing, it doesn't necessarily make your model better. It just made the whole process more frustrating.
It just took longer.
Yup.
So I've got a Miles Morales Spider-Man, that Kingpin video. I've got Punisher and Spider-Gwen / Ghost Spider.
Yep, and we have 2 or 3 games in the bag, and we're going to get a couple more here shortly.
That's correct.
But we got about 10 minutes left, and I feel like Big Aaron's been quiet.
Yeah, I'm cranking away here at the rust on this door using the sponge.
I know you have a little bit different philosophy of painting than Josh, and your models are also phenomenal. Particularly that night that I saw while we were out traveling together. What do you feel is the difference between Josh's methodology and your methodology and the final output of those?
Well, for me, it's all about, do I want to get something on the table fast? Do I just want to do it? Do I want to do something that's just kind of a quick, cool concept like the Necron stuff? That Necron stuff, the only time I take a brush to it is to apply a wash. I'm not doing any sort of highlighting or anything like that. However, I've been taking years to do my Death Guard army because they're super hella detailed, and I love picking out all those little details and making them look really disgusting and filthy, but really detailed at the same time. So I think you just have to pick and choose. Like all the Warcry stuff earlier this year, I was blasting through those armies, like doing one per week. And it was because I just wanted to get them done. I just wanted to see them finished. They're in my display case, even though they're by no means anywhere near some of the best work I've done. But I was just happy to be able to crank through a whole warband in a week or two. And you have to accept those results, just like Josh was saying, just like Sean was saying. You have to just find out what you're going to be happy with and then just roll with it. Otherwise, you're going to get hobby paralysis. You're going to take way too long. You're going to hem and haw. And then you're just not going to be happy because you never settled down in the beginning what you would be happy with.
Or, like in my case, you're just not going to get the shit done.
Yeah, like I remember one of my big hobby breakthroughs was prepping for an Adepticon, and I had half an army that I purchased that was painted, and it was painted pretty well. I would say it was painted to a level slightly higher than my ability was, but I had another half of the army that I needed to match to that, and I was able to accomplish it. But that wasn't the breakthrough, because that took me a solid week of work and learning new techniques. The breakthrough was that I got that whole big giant unit done, and then I realized, I was like, oh man, I still need this stupid wizard on a horse painted, and I painted it in like 5.5 minutes flat to the same level as all of my knights, because I had ingrained all of that like that technical like physical manipulation, but because I wasn't trying to match it specifically to somebody else's paint job, I didn't have to worry about color matching, and it was just like, bam, now this thing is done. And I was like, whoa, that is an amazing feeling when you just have something so mechanically memorized that when you remove a restraint, like it must look exactly like these other models, because I wanted unit coherency, and this is a wizard, so I can do whatever colors I want, and bam, all of a sudden it gets done really fast. And I just remember being like, I really hope that after this, that's more of the way my model painting is going to go, right? And that looks good, comes out the way you want, but doesn't take a week of, every night after work working on something to get 2 squads done.
Here, man.
Yep.
Well, I don't think I'm going to quite get everything finished from what I set out this evening. I have 2 bikes done, 1 arm replaced. How much time do we have left?
About 7 minutes.
7 minutes? 6 minutes? Yeah.
It's enough to do 1 wizard!
It's enough to paint 1 wizard, but not enough time to do 2 bikes and an ATV, unfortunately. Where are my other bike parts, yo? So, Josh, what do you think of Tabletop Simulator?
I think it's great. It works really well, at least with Marvel Crisis Protocol. Surprisingly fun to actually play, too.
I agree. It has... I feel like it even has some significant advantages over playing in person.
Yeah, cleanup's really easy.
Well, cleanup is really easy. I don't know if it would necessarily translate to 40K. Aaron Big Aaron and I have talked about this before, that the terrain in Marvel is more of a fictional idea because it's just a height. But because it's more of a fictional idea, it works much better in a tabletop simulator setting, where it might be a lot more difficult to do it for 40K. And because of the number of models.
Oh yeah, it'd be just way too much, I think.
Yeah. The only problem that I have found is that, like, typically during your turn when I'm playing a normal game, hey Patrick, like when you're doing your thing, I'm looking at my thing and strategizing, right? Like that's how a normal game works. And if we're filming in person, I don't have to worry about that because either we have an overhead camera that's capturing everything and I can concentrate on my stuff while you do your stuff.
Right.
Or you're filming your stuff while I'm thinking about my stuff. In the tabletop simulator, because I am the camera person, I have found that you're like moving your guys and I'm hovering over my card. And I'm like, oh, I got to stop doing that because I need to watch what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
So that has been a little bit more tricky.
I think you definitely got to start using the cards that you have in person.
Yes. I'm going to start using the cards. That's what I was going to say. Is I'm going to start actually laying out the cards that I have in person. So, so that I can leave the camera on your side of the board and I can just read stuff.
Well, you ready for a hobby check-in?
I am.
All right, here's Skeletor. I don't know, how's that look?
Hold on. Let me set up hobby check-in. 1 second. So we are going to turn that off and we're going to make this big. All right. Josh, hobby check-in. There you go. You got full screen. He's blue.
It's Skeletor.
He's looking good.
And then Green Goblin.
Oh, Green Goblin looks really nice.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So they were both done during this. So.
All right. Next up, Aaron.
Yo, I think I am very close to having this bunker actually all done. I have some little rust on the door. Got some little stuff going on. I do like how, I mean, it does pop off nice and easily.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Especially for when I kill your guys that are inside of it.
Aw.
Especially.
All right, Sean.
Oh, let me grab something to get this focus on this thing right. Robots, woohoo! So I got 5 dudes that I got all washed.
Nice. Looking really good. I like the knee pad.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I did the knee pad like I was instructed to. So there's another guy. I have a tiny little bit. I still got to do the scripts on the purity seals and stuff. And then I've got to go back and hit everybody with the Grim Dark, like this guy. So he's the one that's closest to being done. But I think it's much more fun. I mean, that's the important part. I had fun painting these guys. They weren't like, oh my god, shoot me.
And let's see, I got 1, 2, 3 characters done, which had a lot more parts than they needed to have. I got 1 guy fixed from the old batch, since he unfortunately lost his weapon. I got 2 bikes complete, and 1 bike a third of the way complete, 2/3 of the way complete. So not too bad. Almost done building everything that I have for the Gene Stealers. And then, of course, we are going to finish painting them up and get back to our Space Marines. So once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this Sunday evening. We will be streaming every Sunday evening. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving next week. I hope everybody is being safe, that you're healthy, that your family is well, and that you yourself are well. I also hope that we have inspired you to get to work on some of your models, because that is absolutely what this is all about. It's not just about us doing our hobby. It's about you all out there doing your hobby. So please hobby with us. That would make us the most happy. Does everybody want to say Happy Thanksgiving?
Happy Thanksgiving!
Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving!
I was like, Sean's like, no, I'm painting a gun. But then he said it, so that's okay.
Busy.
Well, as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Paint and Chat this Sunday evening, and we will see you on the
Table.